Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the channel, and today we're going to be looking into planes versus submarines. Or rather, instead of versus, more like planes with submarines. Now, on the surface, or rather above and below the surface, they kind of feel like opposites of each other. One flies through the air, one swims through the water. But flying through the air and swimming through the water really aren't that different after all. They're both based on fluid mechanics. The same control surfaces that orient your plane in the air can also be used to orient a submarine in the water. I mean, really the only difference here is just the density of the fluid that you're traveling through. So why then do we not have flying submarines? Well, as it turns out, we've tried. We've tried and we've failed, and today I'm gonna try again based off of the fails. Let me show you what I mean. So in my research, I've found that there have been a handful of attempts at designing a flying submarine, one of which actually got made in real life, but that's not the one I'm going to be focusing on today because there's a much cooler looking one, which is this one right here. So according to this article at flighttest.com, which I will link down in the description, this right here is a 3D model of a design by Boris Ushakov for a submersible aircraft concept. And if we take a close look at it, it looks like we got 3 propellers in the front here. It almost looks like a seaplane based off of this right here. So this is going to be interesting, how to overcome the buoyancy and get this thing to sink below the water. But I think I can figure that out in Trailmakers. And then if you look really close, it looks like there is a underwater propeller built into the tail here, which I'm imagining probably isn't that strong when you're underwater. So just in case the concept of flying submarine wasn't obvious enough, here's a diagram showing, look, you're in the air and then you go underwater. And then you can go back in the air. Flying submarine. So according to this, in order to submerge, it would actually flood some of the compartments in order to, you know, make itself able to sink below the surface. And oh no, the cockpit was one of these floodable compartments, so the crew was required to retreat into an area behind to command the submarine while submerged. Why though? Why not just make the cockpit not one of those compartments? Why not be able to control all of it from the cockpit? This just seems unnecessarily complicated and dangerous. And yeah, just as I suspected, it was designed to fly at roughly 100 knots, but only 3 knots when in the water. So I guess this propeller it wasn't all that effective underwater. You know, we're probably gonna get something similar in Trailmakers. So here's some different angles of the design here. So you can see the 3 propellers here. This is I like this design a lot. This is a pretty cool design. And maybe my perspective is a little bit skewed here because the first design that I saw was the one that was actually built in real life, which is this thing right here. So this is the RFS-1, and this was a real-life version of a flying submarine, and just looking at it, there's so much wrong with it. First of all, this is the person. You may notice that this cockpit is not enclosed. Here's another image of it right here. Not only is it a problem for planes if you want to get to any significant altitude, but it is also a big problem for subs if you want to get to any significant depth. A little bit of a Freudian slip there because obviously death is imminent without an enclosed cockpit like this if you want to make any real strides in the air or underwater. So it says this aircraft had an open cockpit, meaning the pilot had to make use of an aqualung when traveling underwater. Now, I'm not exactly familiar with how an aqualung works. Okay, it's basically like scuba gear. I was wondering if it had any type of way to combat the pressures and other risks of scuba diving, because as someone who has a fair amount of dives under their belts, going underwater is a lot more complex than just going down and coming back up. And pretty much having your entire body exposed to the water pressure like this is not going to allow for a safe transition from air to sea and back. But apparently the aircraft did complete a few short hop flights before diving down to a depth of 12 feet. Okay, so that's not too dangerous then. If he tried anything more significant, he probably would have had some burst eardrums or something. All right, but I'm definitely more of a fan of this one. This one looks way more modern considering how long ago it was conceptualized, which I believe was the 1930s. But in case you were wondering, turns out we didn't give up back then. Because apparently the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, or DARPA, as recently as 2008 begun development on design proposals for flying submarines. Now, I haven't heard anything about it since this, so I'm guessing it didn't go very well, but maybe I can change that today. I think Boris was onto something, so let's see if we can recreate something like this that actually works in Trailmakers. Okay, now because this is using 3 relatively small propellers and a pretty small underwater propeller, I'm gonna try my best to keep this as compact as possible, even though the original thing looked pretty massive. I'm gonna try to use just 3 of these propellers because I actually think they fit, you know, proportionally pretty well with the original design. Okay, this definitely took a little bit to design, but I think I got the wing shape as good as I'm gonna get it. The question is, are these 3 propellers good enough to... Oh, we're getting some decent... All right, look at that. All right, that's good. And then within these wings, I have my roll controls are gonna be on these flaps right here. So that should apply both in air and underwater. All right, so then this thing had this terribly non-aerodynamic protrusion off of the top. So I guess I'll try to keep with the accuracy here. No, I'm just gonna pretend this is a periscope sticking out from the top. And I know I can't center it, but oh well. Okay, so now for the tail, and this thing needs an underwater propeller. Man, am I really only gonna have a single underwater? I might have to, this might not be enough to do anything underwater. I'm really gonna have to see about hiding some more just to get some, even though, you know, it was supposed to go 3 knots underwater. I don't know how many knots equal a kilometer an hour or a mile per hour. I just looked it up real quick. Turns out 1 knot is 1.15 miles per hour. So I'm just gonna round it down to 1. This is what I got so far. So I gotta figure out if this thing is still light enough to be propelled by these 3 propellers, and also see if I could even fly this thing. If this thing can fly, we got potential. And oh boy. All right, we may have a little bit too much. Yeah, we have too much lift in the front. I'm trying to pitch down right now. Way too much lift in the front, which is fine. All I gotta do is take wings away. But this is showing signs. This is good. This is showing signs of potential. What about going underwater now? Do I even have my underwater propeller hooked up? Okay, nope. Oh no, this isn't an underwater seat. I saw the enclosed cockpit and assumed I'd be able to go underwater, but this seat does not let me go underwater. I built my whole design off of a seat that doesn't go underwater. There's only 2 seats that allow for underwater travel, and that is the diving bell and the spaceship cockpit, and both of those are way too massive. Oh, this is gonna be so, because I can get rid of these. I don't need those anymore. Can I fit the diving bell in here? Okay, that actually, it doesn't look too bad. All right, let's do it with the diving bell now. Why do I feel so much worse of a plane? Oh no, we're picking up speed. Okay. All right, I took away some of the wings in the front and seems to have actually done a pretty decent job. Now let's see about underwater. I actually assigned the underwater propeller to the same button as the propellers, because I think those, oh, do those propellers actually try to do something underwater too? For some reason I thought they didn't work underwater. I don't know if they're actually like helping. They could be. Well, look at this. And now we got that. Oh, and I think I have yaw as well. It's colliding, and that's causing it to counteract itself by pushing against the craft. All right, I can fix that easy. Now the yaw does not collide with itself, and we actually are able to yaw underwater. And look, we're performing better than the original. The original was 3 knots. This is a 7, pretty much 6 or 7 knots. All right, now I need to actually make this thing be able to take, oh no, I gotta take off. I have to take off from the water too. Okay, so the good thing about Trailmakers is it actually has a buoyancy control device. So I'm thinking about using this as those landing things, but this is gonna change the weight, how much, these weigh 3 kilograms each. That's not that bad actually. We might be able to survive. That's actually not too bad. I mean, it definitely doesn't look like the original attachment, but I'm dealing with a mess under here. I got bigger problems than aesthetics right now. I just want to get these things to function. But are these even going to be enough to keep me on the surface and have control over going up and down? All right, so now I have control over this. So the problem is, if I activate these when I'm underwater, I'm probably just going to flip upside down because it's going to put all the buoyancy on the bottom. But you know what? Let's find out. Let's see what happens. I can't, I mean, it's a submarine. What am I thinking? I can't take off from land here. Oh, Hey, that sits pretty well. Okay, no, stop. Stop doing that. I might have to put some buoyancy in the tail. That's fine. Can I take off, though, from the water? No way! I didn't think it was just gonna work like that. That's so cool. Okay, and then I can go out and land. It's working. Okay, so then I can go ahead and deflate, or rather I can flood the compartments, which is not the crew compartment. I made that improvement. Did I just build this right? Like, did I just do it? Okay, hold on. Now what happens? Oh, my underwater control is very bad. Very, very bad. Ooh, I got an idea. I got an idea that might make this better. All right, I think it is ready for its final test. I made a couple of aesthetic changes, added some windows there using some mirrors, made the propellers look better. I don't know, colored it up and stuff. So for my final test, I need to be able to demonstrate control both in the air and underwater. So the goal is to be able to take off from the surface of the water, fly through a hoop of fire, showing that I can go where I want to go, land back on the surface, sink below the surface, swim around a little bit, and then return to the surface and take off again. And this is not good. Why is it? The more it sits here, don't worry, we're fine. We just got to keep on moving. Never mind about that, okay? All right, here we go. I'll try to remember what I just said. All right, so first off, we need to be able to take off off the surface. There we go. This thing definitely feels heavy. We're supposed to be able to go around 100 miles per hour, but we're really only able to maintain level flight around 80. But let's see if I can fly myself over to... Oh, that actually feels decent for controllability at least. Oh boy, but we lose a lot of altitude when we're doing maneuvers. All right, well, we can gain altitude. As long as we can gain altitude, we should be able to survive. All right, we got a hoop of fire over here. No problem at all. All right, there we go. And I'm just gonna go ahead and turn around. You know what? Let's go through another hoop of firewall. Nope, never mind. I'm not gonna do that. Lost too much altitude. Never mind, scratch that. Didn't say that. All right, now let's see if we can have a nice smooth landing on the surface and then descend below the depths by filling our cavities with water. All right, here we go. Coming in for the surface landing. All right, not bad, not bad. All right, ready? Deflating BCDs. And we are now sinking below the surface, and the underwater propeller is taken over here. Man, control underwater is so bad, but I kind of feel like this is comparable to the performance that they listed in the article with how terrible the performance was. You know what? I could probably get some aid from the BCDs. I can control my buoyancy to have some more help here. There we go. All right, I can turn as well. Turning left very, very slowly. Roll isn't really that big of a thing underwater. Might as well just keep with the yaw and stuff. Pretty easy to use. We can turn around. All right, now I'm going to inflate the BCDs. Return to the surface. There we go. And oh my goodness, we're practically a dolphin now. If a dolphin could fly. And you know what, just for the sake of it, oh, lost some altitude there. Just for the sake of it, let's do a landing on the aircraft carrier, which I guess isn't land, it's tarmac or something. All right, here we go. Oh, I don't have that much control right now. And that was better than some of the landing I've done with actual landing gear. Look at that thing. This thing actually surpassed my expectations. Too bad Boris's original design never got actually built, and instead we got this thing, which I would never want to fly that thing. Just imagine how uncomfortable the transition from air to water would be. And imagine the weather. What if it's cold? Like, you're gonna be in the middle of open ocean, likely. And then the transition back into the air after you're all wet and soaked with cold Atlantic Ocean water. And then you have to resurface and fly through the air again, the wind whipping over your cold, wet body. See, this is much better. This right here is much better. Well, if you guys enjoyed this recreation, you'll probably enjoy some other recreations that you can find on the channel right here on the end screen. If you have any other ideas for historical, weird recreations you'd like me to try, leave that in the comments down below. Hope this video has earned your subscription. Anyway, this has been ScrapMan, and I'll see you next time. Bye.